Going live in Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam, total world victory of Hare Krishna. My name is Sitapati Das.
And my name is Dana Devi.
Welcome to this episode of Vaishnava Voices podcast. Today we are talking about Śrīla Prabhupāda's glorious Ṛtvik-ācārya guru-tattva. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it's a great topic. I love it. I love hearing directly the śabda sound vibration from his divine grace, bathing my intelligence in it, purifying it, submissively hearing from him, even when it contradicts intuition, social consensus. It continues to deliver new insight.
People's ideology.
Yeah.
Thoughts and feelings.
It is the authoritative praman. So let us begin with a discussion of praman. Praman means evidence or valid ways of knowing. How do we know? In Western philosophy, it's epistemology.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how do we know things? So let's begin by hearing from His Divine Grace, Śrīla A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Jai Śrīla Prabhupāda. So here, Śrīla Prabhupāda is speaking. There's a break in the recording. This is 1973. He says, Anuman Pramana, Anuman hypothesis, and Praman Shastra Praman, Shruti Praman, evidences from the Vedas, evidences from authorized persons, and Anuman also. That is not good evidence, but even if you take Anuman, that if I make this table is created by somebody, that is all right. But to find out that somebody is still further progress. So here, I'll give my commentary here. Mm-hmm. This table is created by someone. I see the table. That's pratyaksha, direct observation. And Anuman, I logically infer that the table has been created by somebody because in my experience as a general principle and what people understand, everything that is created has someone who created it.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's Anuman. This table is created by somebody. That is all right. That's Anuman. But to find out that somebody is still further progress. Mm-hmm. Similarly, we have to accept that this gigantic universe, as I said, that what is the purpose? If there is purpose, whose purpose? Who is acting? So that's Anuman. You can ask the question. Mm-hmm. In this way, we have to make progress. We're passing on the street. If I say, here's a big building, so someone is proprietor, this is one guess, but to know the proprietor, how he has constructed it, that is another thing. Mm-hmm. Śrīla Prabhupāda says here, but if somebody says, I am the proprietor, and we accept immediately. Okay, so Śrīla Prabhupāda is making a point here about people saying that they are God, and he's saying, okay, well, where is the proof that what you say is true? You're asserting it. Mm-hmm. But where is the proof that this is true? Similarly, if someone says, I am God, there's no need of evidence. Mm-hmm. I am God. The people have to accept like that? There's no need of shastra? Huh? How much degraded people have become that without any little evidence, they're accepting a rascal as God. How much degraded they've become. That is another proof. Because he is shown by pushing the eye as a light, that's all. We have to see how much degraded the persons have. They have no even brain. What are the evidence? That he showed some light, and what else? So he's talking here about people creating something like technology, for example. They create a technology. People will make this argument. They say, oh, the scientists, you're talking to me using the internet, and that's proof that the scientists know about some other thing that's not the internet. Mm-hmm. Like that I'm using the internet could be proof that scientists created the internet. It doesn't prove any other claim that they make, certainly not every other claim that they make. Mm-hmm. So here Prabhupada is talking about the relationship between Anuman and Pratyaksha is mentioned implicitly, and Śabda Praman, Shruti Praman. Another one here. According to the Vedic system, there are three kinds of proofs. This is from 1966 in New York. According to the Vedic system, they accept three kinds. For establishing truth, they take three kinds of proofs: Pratyaksha, Anuman, aitihya. So aitihya is a subcategory of shabda, which means kind of like traditional knowledge. Knowledge that's received. So it can be received in disciplic succession, people know it, that kind of thing. In logic also, these three kinds of proofs are accepted. What is that? Now, direct perception. You are seeing, I'm sitting here. That is direct knowledge. I'm seeing that you are sitting here. That is direct knowledge, pratyaksha. So direct sensory perception. Anumana. Anumana means just like the children are playing there, we're hearing their sound, so we can conjecture that there are some children. You know, I hear the sound of the children playing, that's pratyaksha. I can't see them, but I infer using logic that I hear the children playing, it means there are children playing there. We don't see the children, but we can conjecture, we can think, we can imagine that there are some children who are playing there. This is called anumana. Pratyaksha, anumana, and aitihya, or śabda pramana. Śabda pramana means to take the truth from the highest authority. That is called śabda pramana. Just like man is mortal. Now this man is mortal. Nobody knows where from this sound has come first. Who has experienced that man is mortal? But we're accepting this. We're accepting this. By tradition, we know man is mortal. Now, if somebody says, who found this truth first? Who discovered that man is mortal? That is very difficult to say, but it is coming down. The knowledge is coming down. Man is mortal, and we accept everything. There are so many examples. So out of these three, the Vedic knowledge, they say that this aitihya, or the knowledge received from the authority, is most perfect. Neither, I mean to say, imagination or hypothesis, nor direct. Direct perception is always imperfect, especially in the conditioned stage of life. Give a commentary here.
Yeah,
This
keep
from
going.
Yeah, keep going. Okay, and then I'll give my commentary. Just like direct perception, with our eyes we see the sun just like a disc, not more than your plate on which you take your meals. You look at the sun, it looks tiny in the sky. But from authority, aitihya, we understand the sun is so many millions times greater than this earth. So which of them is right? By seeing your direct perception, sun is just like a disc. Is that right? Or you take it from authority that sun is such and such times bigger than the earth. Which one of them you'll accept? But you're not going to prove it that the sun is so great. You do not know. You accept from some scientists, from some astronomers, from some authority that sun is so great, but you have no capacity to see yourself whether the sun is so great or not. Therefore, the knowledge received from authority, actually we're accustomed and we are accepting this type of knowledge in every field of our activities. Now, what is this newspaper? Oh, you from newspaper, you understand that in China, such and such things have taken place, and in India, such and such things have taken place. Or from radio message, you understand that such and such things have taken place. But you're not experiencing them directly, whether such and such things have actually taken place. But you accept the authority of the newspaper. You accept the authority of newspaper and you believe it. That in China, such and such things have taken place, and in India, such and such things have taken place, which is far beyond the range of your direct perception. Similarly, there are many instances. We have to believe the authority to take knowledge, and the more the authority is perfect, your knowledge is perfect. The more the authority is perfect, your knowledge is perfect. Direct perception, in all cases, it is not possible to receive direct perception of everything. Okay, so this is a really fundamental aspect of the Krishna consciousness philosophy of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, of Vedanta, Vedic understandings. The Vedic, and philosophy means how to understand reality. Okay, so three types of evidence: direct perception, sensory perception, pratyaksha, anuman, reasoning, and then śabda, hearing from authorities. You know, you can hear from authority, and the more the authority is perfect, your knowledge is perfect.
Correct.
And Śrīla Prabhupāda says it twice. Okay. Now, okay, one more. Yeah. Here, Śrīla Prabhupāda, in his introduction to the Chaitanya Charitamrita in the Adi Lila, he says, according to the Vedic method, śabda, or transcendental sound, is regarded as evidence. Sound is very important in Vedic understanding, for if it is pure, it is accepted as authoritative. Even in the material world, we accept a great deal of information sent thousands of miles by telephone or radio. In this way, we also accept sound as evidence in our daily lives. Although we cannot see the informant, we accept his information as valid on the basis of sound. Sound vibration then is very important in the transmission of Vedic knowledge. Yeah, so this is very important to ground ourselves in this, because we're about to examine the Shabda Praman, the sound vibration evidence of Śrīla Prabhupāda's Ṛtvik-ācārya guru-tattva. Yeah? Okay, so I think the first thing here is that we have to establish whether we accept Śrīla Prabhupāda's speaking as Śabda Praman or not. We have to have a theory about Śrīla Prabhupāda's speaking.
Yeah.
If Śrīla Prabhupāda's speaking is Śabda Praman, then it is accepted as Śabda Praman. If Śrīla Prabhupāda's speaking is not Śabda Praman, then it's not authoritative evidence of something. Right? There is a theory that's prevalent in ISKCON today. It's a formal theory that's been laid out, which is that sometimes Śrīla Prabhupāda's speaking is Śabda Brahman, authoritative evidence, and sometimes it isn't.
Right.
And there's kind of like, you get to sort of pick and choose about which ones are authoritative or not authoritative. So you want to say something about that?
For me, it would be more like, do you agree or do you trust he is, out the guru, the authoritative person? Okay. And then if you see him as an authoritative person, then he's an authoritative person. He may say A or B or C, that is another thing. But if you find, like, for example, do I accept the prime minister as the prime minister, or do I know that he's doing the prime minister jobs, but I don't accept him as the prime minister?
Well, I only accept him as the prime minister if I agree with what he's saying.
Exactly. It's basically like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's quite clear cut for me. He is
The Acharya.
the guru, the Acharya guru, the spiritual master, and he is. There is no question about it. Whether I have my ideas, my feelings about it, how he talks, what he talks, is like, okay, where does it come from? And, he has the power to say things, and he is quoting and quoting and quoting, and his life itself is an example.
Yeah. Okay.
Regardless of the situation, is an example.
Okay.
So anything else, it is just a, extra there.
Yeah. Okay. So in this other model, where it's like, whenever Śrīla Prabhupāda says something that is from the Shastra, then it is Śabda Brahman. And if he says anything that's not from the Shastra, then it's not Śabda Brahman. It's not authoritative. It can be like dismissed using, because in Tattva Sandarbha, in the Pramaya Kanda at the beginning, the Pramana Kanda at the beginning, Anuchad number 9, Jiva Goswami Prabhupada is saying, what are the valid means of knowing? And in his Sarva Samvadini commentary on Anuchad 9, he makes a few statements like, what is proved by Śabda cannot be disproved by Anuman. What is established by Śabda cannot be disproved by Anuman or Pratyaksha. So Śrīla Prabhupada gives the example in various places, including the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, which he takes from this example is from Baladev Vidyabhushan's Govinda Bhashya. It's found in there, where he says that we accept on the basis of the Vedic Śabda Praman that animal bones are unclean and animal stool is unclean, but the stool of the cow is pure. It's not unclean.
Yeah.
And then the other one is the conch shell. It's a bone of an animal. And that's, would normally be unclean, but we accept from Vedic Śabda Praman that it's clean. And you could disprove that by logic or pratyaksha. You could say, by following the rule that animal bones are unclean, the conch is also unclean. But you can't use logic to disprove Śabda. If it's established by Śabda, it cannot be disproved by using a logical argument.
Right.
So if you accept Śrīla Prabhupāda, his speaking as Shabda, the difficulty becomes that if you say that, if Prabhupada, if he says what's in the Shastra, that's Shabda, and if he doesn't say what's in the Shastra, it's not Shabda, he is reduced to basically like a chatbot interface, a search engine over the database, right? He's just like a guy who just learned more shlokas than me. That's the only difference between me and Śrīla Prabhupāda, is he knows more shlokas. When he says the shloka, it's bona fide, and if he says something and there's no shloka immediately there, then I'm free to dismiss it and call it, Prabhupada's making a mistake, like he's a fallible conditioned soul subject to the 4 errors. He's repeating some kind of social conditioning that he received. And in that case, he becomes no longer anyone special, so to speak. I might as well just read the book myself and come to my own conclusions.
Exactly.
So that's the problem with, saying that. So the theory of speaking of Śrīla Prabhupāda, either he's speaking Shabda Brahman, he's either the liberated Acharya, he's either the self-realized soul through whom Krishna speaks, or he's just another guy like me who read the books, and I'll read the books too, and I'll come up with something,
Yeah.
So that's the theory that I take about Śrīla Prabhupada speaking. And you can take this position provisionally. You don't have to take this position as like, it's the absolute truth. Just, I'm going to try this on. I'm going to accept Śrīla Prabhupada as authoritative. And that's basically how the Shabda Praman of Shabda itself is established, is that we say that the Vedas are authoritative.
Yeah.
Why are they authoritative? Well, how can you prove that they are authoritative unless you have an authoritative Praman? It's like saying the Shastra is authoritative because the Shastra says that it's authoritative, but it's circular. At some point, you have to accept it. And you can do it provisionally, like Prabhupada says at the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, that the way of understanding Bhagavad Gita is given in the Bhagavad Gita itself, in the way that Arjuna receives it from Krishna. Krishna says, I am God. I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Arjuna accepts it. So that is the way of understanding Bhagavad Gita. So if we're going to understand Bhagavad Gita as it is, the way of understanding it is found in the Gita itself. So one should at least theoretically accept that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in the same way, Śrīla Prabhupada never presents himself as like, take it or leave it, like whatever you think about what I'm saying, you should like take that, or you should cross-reference what I say against Shastra and discard the parts that you don't like. He does say that the guru will only speak things that are in accord with Shastra. It's one thing that he does say. Most definitely. So anyway, the theory of speaking of Śrīla Prabhupada that we're going to use for the purposes of this discussion is that he is Shabda Brahman, and his speaking is authoritative Praman.
Yeah.
Shabda Praman. We're going to take that on as our authoritative, that's our axiomatic statement as we investigate the Shabda Praman about his Ṛtvik-ācārya tattva that he created. Now, I want to say one more thing about this.
Right.
And that this idea of, if Śrīla Prabhupada repeats something that's in Shastra, then that means that it's true. And if it's not in the Shastra, then it means that, it could be not true, right? Or not accurate. Now, I want to create something here about the speaking of Shabda Brahman, and that is that Shabda Brahman, the speaking of the liberated souls, is not simply repeating things that have already been said before. They will not contradict the things that have come before, and particularly in, the basic kind of things like the relationship between the soul and God. But here's a couple of things to look at this.
Right.
This is in the teachings of Queen Kunti. Śrīla Prabhupada says, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Kaunteya pratijanihi na me bhaktya pranashyati. My dear Arjuna, you may declare to the world that my devotee is never vanquished. Now one may ask, why did Krishna advise Arjuna to declare this? Why did he not declare it himself? The answer is that if Krishna himself made this declaration, it might be suspect, because Krishna sometimes violates his own promise. But the promise of a devotee will never be violated. This is Krishna's concern. Oh, my devotee has declared this. I must see that his word is kept. This is Krishna's position because of his affection for his devotee. Therefore, Lord Krishna said, you declare it. If I declare it, people may not believe it, but if you declare it, they will believe you because you are a devotee. Even though Krishna may break his own promise, he wants to see that the promises of his devotees are fulfilled. And I think I got one more quote along those lines, same thing.
That's a nice rasa.
Yeah. This is from a 1969 class in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Kaunteya, my dear son of Kunti, Arjuna, you can declare throughout the whole world that my devotees will never be vanquished. You can declare that. And why he's asking Arjuna to declare, why he does not declare it himself, there is meaning. Because if he promises, there are instances that he sometimes broke his promise, but if a devotee promises, it will be never broken. Krishna will give protection. Therefore, he says his devotee that you declare. There is no chance of being broken. Krishna is so kind that sometimes he breaks his promise, but if his devotee promises, he takes very careful attention that his devotee's promise may not be broken. That is Krishna's favor. So, you know, say something?
That is so important.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely powerful. And that itself is a benediction for the devotees.
For Krishna's pure devotee, if we take Śrīla Prabhupāda as Krishna's pure devotee, then his speaking becomes not merely descriptive, but creative.
Mm-hmm.
If Śrīla Prabhupāda declares something, then Krishna takes very careful attention that his devotee's promise may not be broken.
So he is way more interested to make sure the promise, is carry on.
Yeah, so
his protection is way more.
So from this, it's like
his devotees.
We're building this theory of Śrīla Prabhupada speaking, right? And,
right.
And this is that if Śrīla Prabhupada says something and you don't find it, oh, I can't find that in the Shastra. If you accept Śrīla Prabhupada as the Acharya, the liberated Acharya, Krishna's pure devotee and representative, then what he says is self-sufficient praman for the reality of what he declares, because Krishna backs his speaking. He says something, and even if you make some material kind of explanation for, oh, Śrīla Prabhupada said this, but it was incorrect. Now, I'll give you an example of this. When the Pandavas, they won Draupadi, Arjuna won Draupadi in the Swayamvar, and they brought her back, and this is in Mahabharata, and, they came and they said, oh, wait till you see what we got in charity today. And then Kunti, without seeing, said, make sure you share it equally between all of you. And they brought back Draupadi. And so they didn't say, oh, well, Kunti didn't see, what we had brought and it was a mistake. And so it's not going to happen. It was like her speaking created reality. And so she became the wife of all five of them. And then you could say, well, this has never been done before. But then, they gave some examples of how different people, historically had some kind of arrangement like that. But my point here is that the speaking of the devotee, the pure devotee, is not discounted because we can come up with an explanation of how this is, any kind of interpretation or explanation about it. We have to deal with the fact that the speaking is backed by Krishna. That if they write a check, Krishna backs that check and it's cashable. Yeah. So that's the theory of Śrīla Prabhupada speaking that we're going to use as we examine his conversation on the 28th of May, 1977. We're not subordinating Śrīla Prabhupada's speaking to disproof by anuman, by logic, not by logical interpretations, not by contradiction with other people who are not the Acharya. That's the theory of Śrīla Prabhupada's speaking that we're going to be using.
I think that's the correct mood. We cannot be coming here and picking and choosing and according to our mood, or that benefits me. It will, it backs up what I have in mind to get something out of it.
Or even
to please oneself.
Everybody now knows that that's not true, some like changing ideologies or, transient scientific understandings, those kind of things, you can use those to analyze Śrīla Prabhupāda and to disprove or to cut and slice different things. But I just want to make the point that that's not following the tradition as it is. That's using external interpretive frameworks to superimpose them onto Śrīla Prabhupāda and his speaking. So if we take Śrīla Prabhupāda as he is, as the Acharya, then this is the theory of his speaking that we use. Otherwise, we are a priori, like we're actually rejecting Śrīla Prabhupāda as authoritative Shabda Brahman at the outset.
Mhm.
He's either the pure devotee of Krishna and his speaking is Shabda Brahman, or it's not.
There's only two ways.
It's
to that.
one or the other.
Yeah. There's not two, like, this is not like according to the mood, right? We know that, but hey, I will put it aside, but I will do this instead. And then, oh no, this is correct, so I'm gonna go there. Like, this is not like a bipolar situation where you just go here and there. It is one way.
Yeah.
And that is the correct way, because it's, the body of Krishna, and he's representing Krishna, like in the Bhagavad Gita says, the guru is as good as Krishna himself. He's
Yes.
representing God himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Okay, so
Yeah.
just final point on that. You don't have to accept him in that way.
Yeah, of course.
But there's little point in examining his conversation if you don't.
Mhm.
You might as well just say, well, if his statements and what he creates here doesn't accord with my idea, or, the things that I can find in Shastra, or an argument that I can build myself using Anuman and references to scripture, if what he says doesn't accord with that, I'm going to discount it, then there's no point in even looking at it. Why even look? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
can understand your point here.
We
Yeah.
accept Śrīla Prabhupāda as authoritative. And
Yeah.
so that's how we're going to read this conversation.
I think the most genuine, I don't think the word genuine, authentic way of
Faithful.
being in this situation is, like you said, like, okay, that is too much for me to chew up, and I will just stay with this. But
Mhm.
getting to the point of overstepping him, minimizing him, and making him look like this is like he's just a conditioned soul, because I am the good one here, the pure devotee. That attitude actually corrupts the whole advancement for the person.
Well, we're playing a different game by a different set of rules once we do that. And it's very clear what the set of rules are that we play, the game of the knowledge, according to Śrīla Prabhupāda's set of rules that are consistent. So we interpret it from what's found within it itself, rather than like, oh, well, I went to the university and they taught me these different ways of doing it.
Brainwash it.
Well, I mean, I went to the university and I learned many different ways of looking at things as well. And I'm just clear that if I'm using one of those ways, I'm not using the way of looking at it that's found in the thing itself. It's just inconsistent. You don't have to agree that, this set of rules is, the absolute truth. You don't have to agree that, but one should at least theoretically accept it, to see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, here's the May 28, 1977 conversation where Śrīla Prabhupāda creates the Ṛtvik-ācārya tattva.
Mm-hmm.
So good. Okay, so Satswarup asks this question. Our next question concerns initiations in the future, particularly at that time when you're no longer with us. We want to know how first and second initiation would be conducted.
Mm-hmm.
So Śrīla Prabhupāda is directly responding to the question
Mm-hmm.
about initiations in the future, particularly at that time when you're no longer with us. So he's not responding to the question of what are we going to do about initiations tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
He's responding to the question about initiations in the future, particularly at that time that you're no longer with us. He's not responding to the question, how are we going to do initiations, tomorrow until you're no longer with us, as it's phrased here.
Mm-hmm.
He's answering in the future, particularly at that time that you're no longer with us.
Yeah, when he's not here, when he passed to the
When his
different
physical
world.
body is placed into samadhi.
Yeah.
Okay, so Śrīla Prabhupāda says, yes, I shall recommend some of you. After this is settled up, I shall recommend some of you to act as officiating acharyas. Now, we don't know what he means by after this is settled up, but it's very clear that Śrīla Prabhupāda, in answering the question about how initiations will be conducted in the future, particularly at that time that he's no longer with us, I shall recommend some of you to act as officiating acharyas. So Prabhupada uses the word officiating acharyas. Tamal Krishna says, is that called Ṛtvik-ācārya? And Śrīla Prabhupāda says, Ṛtvik, yes.
It's confirmed.
Yeah, so it's confirmed that there's a couple of things that are created here.
Yeah.
Śrīla Prabhupāda creates that he will recommend some of the GBC to act as officiating acharyas.
Yeah.
That is that called Ṛtvik-ācārya? Ṛtvik, yes. So now Satsvarup says, then what is the relationship of that person who gives the initiation and Śrīla Prabhupāda says, he's guru. And Satsvarup says, but he does it on your behalf. So the first thing here is that he's going to create Ṛtvik-ācāryas, and Ṛtvik-ācārya guru-tattva, when the Ṛtvik-ācārya initiates the disciple, what is the relationship of the person who gives the initiation, the Ṛtvik-ācārya? He's the guru. So the Ṛtvik-ācārya is the guru. Satsvarup, but he does it on your behalf. Śrīla Prabhupāda, yes.
So clear.
So the Ṛtvik-ācārya does it on behalf of Śrīla Prabhupāda, and the Ṛtvik-ācārya is guru. Śrīla Prabhupāda says, that is formality, because in my presence, one should not become guru, so on my behalf, on my order. Amara agyaya guru hanya, be actually guru, but by my order. Now, I think it was Purajit Das who made a very good point about this. Now, Śrīla Prabhupāda is talking about when he is no longer with us in the future. And he's going to create the Ṛtvik-ācāryas. Now, what people do with their interpretation here is they're saying, well, he's saying, in my presence, you shouldn't become guru, so on my behalf. So this refers to Śrīla Prabhupāda's physical presence. And he gave a really good, this is Śrīla Prabhupāda's argument in Bhagavad Gita 2.12, Sarve vayamata param. Never was there a time when you, nor I, nor all these kings did not exist, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. And in that purport, Śrīla Prabhupāda says, he has already dismissed the bodily concept of life, so therefore why would he again assert this on the bodily conception? So Śrīla Prabhupāda is speaking about what happens, when he's no longer with us. If we want to make this, if we want to take out, what to say about this? Let's just read it exactly what it says and then work out how to apply it.
Okay.
Yeah. So particularly when he's no longer with us, some will act as officiating acharyas, Ṛtvik-ācārya. The person who initiates as a Ṛtvik-ācārya, he's the guru, but he does it on your behalf. Yes. And then here, this is a very important point about the Ṛtvik-ācārya tattva, is that Satsvarupa says, so they may also be considered your disciples. And Śrīla Prabhupāda says, yes.
Yeah.
They are disciples. So here we have that in the future, Śrīla Prabhupāda creates in his speaking, officiating acharyas, Ṛtvik-ācārya, Ṛtvik. The person who gives the initiation is the guru. But he does it on Śrīla Prabhupāda's behalf, and they may also be considered your disciples. Yes, they are disciples. Okay, so Śrīla Prabhupāda then asks this question. He says, why consider? Who? And then Tamal Krishna says, no, he's asking that these Ṛtvik-ācāryas, they're officiating, giving diksha. They're the people they give diksha to. Whose disciple are they? Prabhupada. They're his disciple. Okay, so here we have Śrīla Prabhupāda said two things, right? He said that they're the disciple of the Ṛtvik-ācārya, and they're also Śrīla Prabhupāda's disciples. And then someone will say, this is the interpretation that people will give, oh no, Prabhupada clarifies here that they are not his disciples. But he doesn't say that. He restates what he already said here. But he said both. And then they say, well, no, here, because Tamal Krishna says no, he's asking that these Ṛtvik-ācāryas, they're officiating giving diksha. Prabhupada does not invalidate his previous statement. He doesn't say, no, they're not. Tamal Krishna says no, but here's the question about this. When Tamal Krishna says no, first of all, we accept Śrīla Prabhupāda's speaking as Shabda Brahman. The words that he speaks, their direct meaning, not an interpretation of their meaning, but their direct meaning doesn't just describe reality, it creates it. That's the theory of speaking, of Śrīla Prabhupāda's speaking that we're using. Just like Kunti says, share whatever you have between you, then she becomes all of their wives, right? Arjuna declares it, and then Krishna keeps the promise. So Prabhupada says, yes, they're also disciples. They can be considered your disciples. Yes, they are disciples. Tamal Krishna says, no, his speaking is not Shabda Brahman in this theory of speaking. It's not that Śrīla Prabhupada says something and then someone there goes, no, I'm a no. I counteract what you create in your speaking by saying no. That Tamal Krishna saying no here doesn't do that. It doesn't erase what Prabhupada says. It just doesn't. Here's the question also. What is Tamal Krishna saying no to? What is that no? His no cannot invalidate the statement of Śrīla Prabhupada. Śrīla Prabhupada cannot say something and then Tamal Krishna says no. And then Śrīla Prabhupada's speaking is nullified by that. Is he saying the other interpretation that someone could give to this? They could say, well, Tamal Krishna is saying that, no, you don't understand the question, Śrīla Prabhupada. But does that create reality that he says that? He says, oh, no, this means that Prabhupada didn't understand the question. At that point, we've gone from just accepting the direct meaning of what is spoken and what is created by that speaking to now developing some kind of theory about what motivates Prabhupada speaking and that, he didn't hear properly. In other words, he's a fallible conditioned soul. His speaking is sometimes good and sometimes not good, depending on what we think about it. Yeah, he's erratic, he's fallible, and he's being corrected here by his disciple. That's if we accept this statement here as invalidating what Śrīla Prabhupada has just created in his speaking, we're accepting either that someone else can simply assert no and nullify it, or they can assert that Śrīla Prabhupada is mistaken and that assertion that he's mistaken nullifies whatever he says. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
So Tamal Krishna says no, but the no has no power to invalidate Shabda Brahman.
No.
Then he says he's asking that these Ṛtvik-ācāryas, they're officiating giving diksha. They're the people who they give diksha to. Whose disciple are they? Śrīla Prabhupada has already answered that question. And he gives exactly the same answer that he gave when he was first asked it.
Exactly. It's just...
He says they're his disciple. And then you see that Satswarup has asked here another question. It's another question.
Yeah.
And Śrīla Prabhupada has made two statements.
Yeah.
Yes, they're the disciple of the officiating Ṛtvik. And then Satswarup, you could make up all kinds of theories about what's the motivation, why Satswarup asks that question. If you do an analysis of the political situation, you can come to one thing, but I will say this about it. I will say that the speaking of the people in that room is given by Krishna, Mother Saraswati. That the question is asked, are they the disciple of the Ṛtvik-ācārya? And Śrīla Prabhupada says, he's guru. And then Saraswati has Satswarup Maharaj say, so they may also be considered your disciples. And Prabhupada says, yes, they're disciples. So in that Shabda Brahman speaking, Śrīla Prabhupada has created a tattva, the Ṛtvik-ācārya, the officiating acharya, whose disciples are both the disciple of the Ṛtvik-ācārya and the disciple of Prabhupada. He creates it in his speaking there. And according to our theory of Shabda Brahman and the speaking of the pure devotee, Krishna is now going to back that check all the way to the bank. Prabhupada says, so we'll go back to here. Tamal Krishna says, no, he's asking that these Ṛtvik-ācāryas, they're officiating, giving diksha. They're the people they give diksha to. Whose disciple are they?
I think he's just like unclear about what he's listening to. What, maybe he's not getting it, or the obvious one, and he's just like,
well, that would be speculating about his internal
the
motivation, and a psychological motivation is not.
He is reconfirming. Śrīla Prabhupāda already confirmed. Tamal Krishna is reconfirming, because for some reason he's not getting it what he's saying, so he has to ask the question to reconfirm, and Śrīla Prabhupāda just straight up
reconfirms.
They're his disciples, and Tamal Krishna still doesn't believe what he's saying, and then he repeats himself. They're his disciples.
Yeah, it could be that the creation of these disciples, who are both Prabhupada's disciples and the Ṛtvik-ācārya, doesn't make sense. That they're like, no, that can't be right. He can only be the disciple of one or the other. He cannot be the disciple of both. And so he says, no, like he's asking about these Ṛtvik-ācāryas. If you wanted to have Śrīla Prabhupāda explicitly invalidate his creation here, the question to ask would be, these Ṛtvik-ācāryas, they're officiating giving diksha. The people who they give diksha to, whose disciple are they? They're his disciple. And then the question to ask to have Śrīla Prabhupāda invalidate his previous creation would be, and they are not your disciple? And then if Śrīla Prabhupāda says, no, they are not my disciple, then they're not Prabhupada's disciple. But if they ask, they may also be considered your disciples, and he says, yes, they are disciples, then Śrīla Prabhupāda has created that they are both the disciple of the Ṛtvik-ācārya and of Śrīla Prabhupāda, and he does not decreate that.
No.
He doesn't take that creation out of existence. He creates it in his speaking. And then when Tamal Krishna says no, he's asking these Ṛtvik-ācāryas, they're officiating giving diksha. And so he asks the first question again, and Śrīla Prabhupāda gives the same answer that he gave to the first question. Tamal Krishna, they're his disciple, Prabhupada. Who is initiating? He is grand disciple. So now he creates that the initiate is the grand disciple of Prabhupada. So he's created that the disciple is the disciple of the Ṛtvik-ācārya, they're the disciple of Prabhupada, and they're the grand disciple of Prabhupada. So he's created an initiating guru-tattva that is not like anything that people will find, if they go through the books and try to find that. But and so what people will say here is like, oh, he can't create something like that because we can't find it in any book or no example, no precedent in the past.
Well, he's just creating it.
Well, he's creating it. And you can say that he made a mistake when he did it, but when the pure devotee says something, whether you think it's a mistake or not, Krishna will back it.
It's basically challenging Krishna's
devotee.
No, Krishna's
creative potency.
Creative potency of fatherly
personal relationship
that he has. He says, I am the seed.
Giving father.
He is the one who gives the seeds, and that's where we come from. And it is so clear. And we've been we went from Brahma, all of that disciple succession, and to where we are, many, many more souls around the world. And still, but I am the child of God, of Krishna. Am I the seed of Krishna? It's like, don't have to ask many times. It is so clear. Yes, you are. He himself said that. And Śrīla Prabhupāda is doing the same. He's just like saying, yes, he is my grand disciple. Clean and clear. What is unclear about it?
Well, he says three things here. He says that the Ṛtvik-ācārya is guru.
Yes.
He says that they may also be considered Śrīla Prabhupāda's disciples.
Of course they are.
And then he says again, they're the disciple of the Ṛtvik-ācārya and his grand disciple.
Yeah.
And so Śrīla Prabhupada has, in his speaking, created this, we might call it a complex guru-tattva.
Is it?
Well, it is complex because the idea that you have that you're param guru, so you're a grand disciple of Śrīla Prabhupada, but Śrīla Prabhupada is also at the same time your guru. This is the creation of the tattva that we are seeing. We see all the initiated devotees of Śrīla Prabhupada's, the initiated disciples of Śrīla Prabhupada's disciples, worshipping Śrīla Prabhupada directly as their guru, not as their param guru, not as the founder acharya, not as a great Vaishnava, not as a preeminent Shiksha guru, literally worshipping him as guru, doing guru puja to him. And so the source of that is this creation here. Prabhupada created what we are looking at in his speaking in this conversation. This is not like my personally motivated, like, oh, I'm trying to screw some meaning out of it. I'm simply taking what Śrīla Prabhupada states as Shabda Brahman. It's not simply, if he gets the right answer from the book, then it's correct. It's his speaking creates reality.
Yeah, I don't know how you find it complex. For me, it's straightforward. Maybe my brain is just wired up in a certain way to just be clean and clear, and then the rest is just noise.
I mean, a lot of people think that about the way that my thinking process works. They're all like, so many words, it's all sophistry.
Okay, if it's so many words and you still cannot understand that, then what is it considered his thinking pattern?
Well,
you know what I mean? It's so many words in the track and thinking pattern incorrect, and yet considering himself that you correct, like what we call that.
It's counterintuitive to take what Prabhupada says as true, especially when he says two statements that appear, they're not contradictory, but they are unprecedented together. But the thing about it is, in order to invalidate what Śrīla Prabhupada says here, basically you have to say that, well, Prabhupada's getting guru-tattva wrong. He's giving the wrong answers.
I guess I see this way. There is a group of people that is just like, yeah, he is, and no arguments about it. And the other people, they're resistant to accept that there is an authority there. And they have such a resistance to accept, and they have to turn and, flip things. And there is this conditioning of like, not sure how to pinpoint this, not sure if it's something to do with superiority complex syndrome or self-esteem, security.
I don't know.
Thing.
I don't get into that.
It's a psychological thing, but but there is something behind it. Of course, there is something behind it. It's like, for me, an authority is an authority. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I don't have to argue about A, B, C, and D and just add it and subtract anything. It's just straightforward. Just make your life easy. And he is, Śrīla Prabhupada is this direct son of of Krishna, and he's giving us all of this knowledge with all of his mercy and compassion. You know what? What do I have to argue about this?
And it's not simply, it is knowledge, but it's not simply repeating what's in the books. It's also creative. He creates. In order to invalidate what gets created here in this section, so they may also be considered your disciples. Yes, they are disciples. It is created in Śrīla Prabhupada speaking in that statement right there. Now,
and that's the most powerful and beautiful thing about Śrīla Prabhupada. He creates every single person. He creates his disciples. He's creating even their future.
There's at this point here, in order to invalidate Śrīla Prabhupada's statements, you need to reject Śrīla Prabhupada's speaking as Shabda Brahman at this point. Because when Tamal Krishna says no, if you elevate that no to dismissing Prabhupada's statement or if you say that no means that Prabhupada did not understand the question and so therefore gave a confused answer because he's confused, he's a fallible subject to the 4 defects, at that point, you have rejected Śrīla Prabhupada speaking as Shabda Brahman, and the whole thing becomes not authoritative at that point.
Yeah, but if you look at it, for me, I don't think Śrīla Prabhupada is confused. What I see is the person, what's his name? Tamal Krishna is the person that is not very clear with himself. He may want to get something out of the answer that Śrīla Prabhupada already stated, is very clear, but he's resistant to accept that because he has some motive in there. Because for me, it's very clear. It's being repetitive that, yes, they are my disciples. Yes, they are Ṛtvik-ācāryas. They're my disciples. And, they're given the command or the...
And yeah, he's saying that the disciples initiated by the Ṛtvik-ācāryas are the disciples of the Ṛtvik-ācāryas.
Yeah.
He said that twice. And he also said that they're his disciples.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he also says that they're grand disciples.
Yeah, because it's the line. Yes, I am the person, the initiator here, or the guru, the master, the spiritual master, and you my child or my disciple, and then your disciples are also my disciples because you don't exist without me, and there are disciples that don't exist without you, and it's like if you go back.
Well, it's a little bit different from that because we have that relationship with Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Gokishore Das Babaji, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Jagannath Das Babaji. We have that relationship with them, but we don't do Guru Puja to them every day. Nor do we sit at their feet and hear their upadesh, their instruction, their vani every day. We don't jump over our guru and do that.
No, we don't.
We don't jump over our Ṛtvik-ācārya guru by listening to Śrīla Prabhupāda directly, or by offering Guru Puja to Śrīla Prabhupāda directly. There's no fault of jumping over Guru and having that relationship with Śrīla Prabhupāda because Śrīla Prabhupāda said, created in his speaking, they may also be considered your disciples. Yes, they are disciples. Now, here's the issue with this, and this is the philosophical incoherence I point out. If you dismiss this, that listening to Śrīla Prabhupāda directly every day, offering Guru Puja to him every day, if we do not accept what Śrīla Prabhupāda has created here, what is the authorization for offering Guru Puja to your Param Guru every day? It's unprecedented. What is the authorization for listening to your Param Guru and your Param Guru's teachings every single day? Even to the extent of it eclipses the listening to the śabda, the instruction from your initiating guru. If you don't have this authorization from Prabhupada, how do you justify such a structure? How do you justify such a relationship between the guru and the Param Guru and the shishya? You have to justify it somehow. And so what ends up happening is they have to come up with all kinds of complicated ways of explaining how I'm not really doing Guru Puja to Prabhupada. It's not to Prabhupada. It's not Guru Puja. It's like Prabhupada literally created the tattva here of why we are and how we are authorized to do that and why we see what we see. That the initiated disciples of Śrīla Prabhupada's disciples offer Guru Puja directly to Śrīla Prabhupada. Well, it's because they're Ṛtvik-ācāryas of Śrīla Prabhupada, empowered and authorized by him, and the disciples that they initiate are both the disciples of the Ṛtvik-ācārya and of Śrīla Prabhupada. Okay, so then the next part, this is very interesting here. Satswarup says, yes. Tamal Krishna, that's clear. Satswarup. Then we have a question concerned, so he's moving on to the next question, and Prabhupada comes back in. When I order, you become guru, he becomes regular guru. That's all. He becomes disciple of my disciple, that's it. So, in other words, when Śrīla Prabhupada orders someone, you become guru, that person becomes a regular guru. That's all. Not a Ṛtvik-ācārya. And then he becomes disciple of my disciple. That's it. So the disciple of the regular guru, is a grand disciple of Śrīla Prabhupāda.
Mhm. So what sorry, I hear you say something about not the disciple of the Ṛtvik.
Yeah, so he says, when I order you become guru, he becomes regular guru.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so the disciple of my disciple, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
This part here, you know, there are so many different ways that you could to me, the most direct and simple reading of it is this.
Mm-hmm.
When I order you become guru, he becomes regular guru, not Ṛtvik-ācārya, not officiating acharya.
Then what is the difference between officiating Ṛtvik-ācārya and regular guru?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That
Isn't like the same?
No, it's not, because here the Ṛtvik-ācārya does it on Śrīla Prabhupāda's behalf. The disciples of the Ṛtvik-ācārya are disciples of the Ṛtvik-ācārya and also of Prabhupada. That's why we do Guru Puja to Prabhupada.
Mm-hmm.
When Śrīla Prabhupada orders someone to become guru, he becomes regular guru, and his disciple becomes disciple of my disciple. That's it. So
when I order,
correct.
So
but what I'm pointing to here is that when he orders someone to become guru, he becomes a regular guru, not a Ṛtvik-ācārya. Regular guru-tattva. That means regular guru-tattva means the disciples of that guru cannot worship Śrīla Prabhupāda in Guru Puja because he is their param guru.
Right.
Do you understand? No, you're not getting it?
I'm getting it, but
the disciples of the Ṛtvik-ācārya are disciples of Prabhupada.
Yeah, I got that. Yeah.
And they're also disciples of the Ṛtvik-ācārya.
Yeah, I got that.
So they can worship the Ṛtvik-ācārya as guru, and they
Yeah.
can worship Śrīla Prabhupada as guru.
Yeah.
That's a Ṛtvik-ācārya.
Yeah.
Yeah. The regular guru,
Mm-hmm.
their disciples cannot worship Prabhupada as their guru.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, because they're not initiating on Śrīla Prabhupada's behalf. They're a regular guru.
Mm-hmm.
And so those disciples are disciples of my disciple, which makes Prabhupada their param guru.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can't jump over your guru and offer Guru Puja to your param guru.
Mm-hmm.
That's the tradition. That's the structure of the tradition.
Right. Right.
Some people say that, well, you know, they impose other interpretations on this. Like it means that when Prabhupada's not, you know, physically present, but the question was asked at the beginning, this is about when you're no longer with us. So we're already talking about when Prabhupada's not here.
Mm-hmm.
So when Prabhupada's not here, there will be Ṛtvik-ācāryas who initiate on his behalf. Their disciples are their disciples and disciples of Prabhupada. And then when Prabhupada orders someone to become guru, they become a regular guru, and their disciples become disciples of my disciples. They are no longer disciples of Prabhupada in addition to being disciples of their initiating guru. They are disciples of their initiating guru. And Śrīla Prabhupada is their param guru because they are disciples of my disciple.
Right.
And what?
And then, so the people now should be doing all the worship things to their regular gurus.
Well, no, because they're not worshiping they're worshiping Prabhupada. That is like direct evidence that they're Ṛtvik, they're disciples of Ṛtvik-ācāryas.
Yeah.
Because they have the adhikar, they have the permission, the authorization to worship Prabhupada as their guru, and that's what they're doing. So if the initiating guru is a regular guru,
Mm-hmm.
the disciple worshipping Śrīla Prabhupada is not authorized.
Right. Yeah.
There's no authorization because people are like, Prabhupada can't create the Ṛtvik-ācārya because it doesn't exist in the tradition. You know, when his body is not physically visible to us, when his body is in the samadhi, he can't create a tattva where Ṛtvik-ācāryas initiate on his behalf. If that is the case, then there's no authorization for any of these disciples of Prabhupada's disciples to worship Prabhupada as their guru.
Right. Got it.
But because the Ṛtvik-ācārya disciples are disciples of the Ṛtvik-ācārya and Prabhupada, it is completely natural
Yeah, but
and normal for them to worship Prabhupada as guru.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. That's
Exactly.
why every single morning we start, no single morning, but anytime they start chanting, like they
With Prabhupada's pranams, Guru Puja to Śrīla Prabhupāda. Yeah.
And then we do the flower thing, offer flowers to Śrīla Prabhupāda and all of that.
Of course, because he's our guru.
Yeah, well, we don't do that to the
Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur.
No. Okay, so we don't do that.
Yeah.
Of course, they are there, but we offer our respectful obeisances to them. But Śrīla Prabhupada is the one. But maybe, I don't know. But personally, I haven't, do all of this to a living person, initiate or guru. I'm not initiated, so anyway, so. I haven't done that, throwing them flowers and all of that practice.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do to Śrīla Prabhupāda. And, the pranams are to Śrīla Prabhupāda. Jai, Śrīla Prabhupāda, Jai, all of that is like we naming him as the spiritual master.
Yeah. And one of his Ṛtvik-ācāryas can give an initiation that is completely coherent and consistent with that.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just go around pick an arbitrary predecessor acharya like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur
mm-hmm.
and worship him directly
Yeah.
and then get initiated
mm-hmm.
and he's your guru and you continue to do Guru Puja to him every day. But in this conversation, Śrīla Prabhupāda creates a guru-tattva that is completely consistent with that you can worship Śrīla Prabhupāda as your guru, and then you can be initiated by one of his empowered Ṛtvik-ācāryas, and the empowered Ṛtvik-ācārya becomes your initiating guru, and Śrīla Prabhupāda is your guru, and you do Guru Puja to Śrīla Prabhupāda every day. It's an authorized guru-tattva.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we come in here and we say, Prabhupada was confused and he said the wrong thing and it wasn't right, the authorization for that entire thing is gone.
Mm-hmm.
There's no authorization from Śrīla Prabhupāda for a guru-tattva, which makes him into some like end of all times guru for everyone, forever. He doesn't say that anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So when people say that like, oh, this Ṛtvik-ācārya tattva would end the guru parampara, it's like if you and usually they're not talking about just the shabda that Śrīla Prabhupāda creates here.
Mm-hmm.
But if you dismiss this, if you neglect it, if you defy it, if you say that Prabhupada's speaking is wrong or that he got it wrong, he made a mistake, if you say that, you have there's nothing in the tradition. You go like, he didn't mean that. He made a mistake and he got it wrong. He was confused because the tradition says that you can't do that. In that case, immediately you take shelter, you deny Prabhupada's Shabda Brahman speaking and you take shelter of the tradition. You cannot worship Śrīla Prabhupāda in Guru Puja. There's no authorization to worship a predecessor acharya, a param guru, as your guru every day. You can't do that. That's the tradition. The tradition says that you can't worship the guru of your guru as your guru.
Yeah.
So the only possible authorization for what's happening in ISKCON now is the Ṛtvik-ācārya guru-tattva.
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course, people will say that, no, we're not really doing Guru Puja to Prabhupada. It's like a ritual and it's like...
Isn't everything a ritual anyways?
It's not that everything's a ritual. It's like you can't invent speculative modes of worship.
Correct.
An empowered acharya can, but like just a committee of men are going to just say, Prabhupada never authorized us for grand disciples to worship him as the guru, but we're just going to create that. Do you see what I'm saying? Like they invalidate Prabhupada's speaking here, arrive at a practice that looks exactly consistent with what Prabhupada creates, but then deny that Prabhupada created it and authorized it.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually weird.
Mm.
Can you see that that's weird to do that? To say Prabhupada didn't create a Ṛtvik-ācārya tattva where the disciple is the disciple of Prabhupada and the guru. But we're going to have a setup where the disciples of these initiating gurus also worship Prabhupada as their guru. And we're not doing it because Prabhupada created it. We're not really doing it. That's one thing that people do. They just deny that that's happening. Like, I'm not worshipping Prabhupada as my guru every day in Guru Puja, and I'm not jumping over my guru to hear from my Param Guru every day and his instructions and quoting him and reproducing his shabda more than I reproduce my initiating guru's shabda, but I'm not jumping over my guru. It's like, are you kidding me? It would be like someone in Śrīla Prabhupāda's physically manifest time, walking around quoting Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta, reading Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupāda's books, worshipping Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada every day in the Guru Puja. That's obviously a violation of the tradition. To do that and to say that, oh, Śrīla Prabhupada's my guru, not Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta. It's like, this is kind of weird and coherent. You worship Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati in a Guru Puja, worship every day, and you say he's not your guru, and you are reciting his shabda, reproducing his sound vibration every day, listening to him and his teaching, and you're saying that he's not your guru. What are you doing? Do you see what I'm saying? That is a violation of the tradition. So
no, they're just borrowing the knowledge.
Well, what's happening in
they're
ISKCON?
just stealing it so they can become like the gurus.
Well, and what's happening in ISKCON today,
Probably,
if it's not authorized based on what Śrīla Prabhupada says here, then what is it authorized on? So I got another couple of things to look at, a few actually, that flow from here.
All right, let's do it.
This is the glory of Śrīla Prabhupāda's Ṛtvik-ācārya guru-tattva. Okay, Śrīla Prabhupada creates it in his speaking, and you can say it was a mistake, or you can say any of that. But just like you can say, well, Kunti said, share what you got today all amongst yourselves. It was a mistake, but it created reality. I don't mind if you say that Prabhupada said it mistakenly, as long as you acknowledge that whatever he says, like, creates reality, whatever your explanation of the motive behind it is.
Well, it takes two people for that. Like, there is a group of people where, in this case, the sons of Kunti, is that Kunti, right?
Yep. The Pandavas.
The Pandavas says, like, this is an authority of our mother, and we follow through. We follow her. They don't argue with her. They don't pick and choose.
No.
And they start fighting with her and then arguing and concocting or whatever, emotional and, my feelings.
Imagine if they
you
did
don't
this.
consider my feelings or whatever.
Imagine if they did this. Sorry, I'm cutting you off. You go.
I know you are.
Yeah.
And then the other, so they're following. And the other type of group of people is like that, exactly that I just mentioned, like the argumentative, the resistant, and it's like, no, it's not that way, it's my way, and my feelings and my emotions, or consider my emotions, that kind of like drama like people. So there's two types here.
Imagine this. Imagine if they came back with Draupadi from the Swayamvar and they say, wait till you see what we got in charity today. And Kunti says, whatever it is, share it amongst yourselves. And then they say, no, that's a mistake because you didn't understand that we have, we actually, Arjuna got a wife. What you said doesn't make any sense. They say that, and then they all marry Draupadi and share her between them equally anyway. And then they deny
that she's the wife.
That Kunti said that, and that's the authorization for what they're doing. So they do it, and they deny that she said it. And they say, she made a mistake, and we're doing it anyway, but it's not because she said it. That's incoherent.
Yeah.
And so that's what ISKCON looks like now. It's doing exactly what Śrīla Prabhupada creates.
Selecting.
Well, it's doing exactly what Śrīla Prabhupada creates here, but denying that he's the one who created it. Do you need to deal with something on your phone there?
Yeah,
Okay.
You go ahead.
You do that, and I'll just keep talking to myself. Okay. But yeah, I really wanted to get your feedback on these things. So I don't know, any comments from the peanut gallery here? It's 5 people watching us live right now. Krishna Das, Tarachand, Hare Krishna. There's a comment, but no content in it. Yeah. This part here about when you become guru, he becomes regular guru. So the Ṛtvik-ācārya is a transparent via medium. He's not an opaque successor guru, a successor acharya. Śrīla Prabhupāda is an opaque successor acharya to Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. There's no Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta daily Guru Puja. There's no Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta's books being read every day. There's no extensive quoting and referring to Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati as the authoritative śabda Brahman for the disciples. That is all Śrīla Prabhupāda in ISKCON. ISKCON, one devotee commented today and he said, the GBC system is not Prabhupada's authorized Ṛtvik system. I said, look, if it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, and it walks like a duck, if it just sometimes says, I'm not a duck, out of those four things, which one is the odd one out? Here's a hint. It's the one where it says, I'm not a duck. It's like, yeah, you're a duck. You're a duck. The Ṛtvik-ācārya is not a opaque successor acharya where his disciples are disciples of Śrīla Prabhupāda's disciples, and that's it. The Ṛtvik-ācārya is a transparent via medium, empowered and authorized by Śrīla Prabhupāda. That's not a diminishing of anyone or anything. That's like wondrous and glorious. The creation in Shabda Brahman and the speaking of the empowered Acharya. And Krishna says, I will make this so. And that's what we're looking at. Śrīla Prabhupada declared it, and we're looking at it right now. It is the authorization for the structure that we see. And the confusion and the incoherency comes merely from denying that Śrīla Prabhupada created this in his speaking. Shabda Brahman, creative speaking. The glory of Śrīla Prabhupāda's Ṛtvik-ācārya guru-tattva. The word Ṛtvik is not a dirty word. It's not this idea is not the creation of anyone other than his divine grace in his speaking to his disciples when specifically asked the question. Initiations in the future, particularly at the time that you're no longer with us. Let me just say something about my personal realization of this. In my presence, one should not become guru, and the regular guru. What does it mean, Śrīla Prabhupāda's presence? Śrīla Prabhupada is a physical body, a materially conditioned physical body subject to janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi. That is the acharya. Our concept of the acharya is a dead body that is moving. We know that the living body, Śrīla Prabhupada says this, he says it's decorate. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, decorating a dead body that moves for some time, but it's already dead. The material body. Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sata ubayo. Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sata ubayo api drishtantas tvanayos tattva darshavi. The wise have determined by observation that of the non-existent, there is no permanence, and of the existent or the permanent, there is no change. This is not a parampara of moving dead bodies like necromancy. The acharya is dead. This physical body is dead. The acharya is dead. He is just this physical body. And so now we need another moving dead body to put on the seat. That's the kind of conception of the acharya that led to placing an acharya on the seat of the Gaudiya Math after the disappearance of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Now, I mean no disrespect to any of the disciples of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He is my Param Guru. And his disciples are the god brothers of my Guru, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And I follow my Guru, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, in this respect. And please understand that this is my fidelity to my Guru that I say this. Srila Prabhupada said that my Guru Maharaj did not appoint any successor acharya. And yet they elected an unqualified man to sit in the seat of the acharya. And they did that by arguing that there has to be a living acharya. And when they say a living acharya, they're talking about an animated dead body, like it's still moving. We need a dead body that's moving to sit in the seat, regardless of qualification. Like the most important qualification is that he's breathing, is that his lungs are working. That is not the acharya. He reasons ill who says that Vaishnavas die when thou art living still and sound. What defines a predecessor acharya is that they are beyond the horizon of hearing, our horizon of hearing of their transcendental sound vibration, their shabda. We do not hear the shabda of Srila Jiva Goswami. We do not hear the shabda of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. We do not hear the shabda of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. We hear Śrīla Prabhupāda in sound every single day. Śrīla Prabhupāda in his introduction to the Bhagavatam, let's have a look at it. The Srimad Bhagavatam, his dedication of the Srimad Bhagavatam is to Śrīla Prabhupāda Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, my spiritual master. On the 26th annual ceremony of his disappearance day, he lives forever by his divine instructions, and the follower lives with him. But Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is not within the horizon of my horizon of hearing. I do not hear his shabda. He is not speaking to me every day. Srila Prabhupada is speaking to me every day. His sound vibration is continually present. So that's what defines a predecessor acharya. Predecessor acharyas, they live forever. Their transcendental shabda is vibrating. It never goes out of existence, but it is beyond my horizon of hearing. My guru, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, is not beyond my horizon of hearing. He is present. My initiating spiritual master, Śrīla Prabhupāda's empowered Ṛtvik-ācārya, who gave me initiation on behalf of Śrīla Prabhupāda, he is my guru. And Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is my guru. This is the statement of Śrīla Prabhupāda. The relationship of the person who gives the initiation is that he's guru. And they may also be considered your disciples. Yes, they are disciples. Created in that moment, in the speaking of the empowered devotee of Lord Krishna. I'm going to move on to the next points. The regular guru. So in Nairobi in 1975, an Indian man, a guest, when Srila Prabhupada says, who has some questions? Any question? Brahmananda, are there questions? Indian lady says in Hindi. Prabhupada replies in Hindi and says, Shishasteham shadimam prapanam. I've surrendered to you, you give me knowledge, that's all. This Indian man says, when did you begin to become the spiritual leader of Krishna consciousness? Prabhupada, what is that? Brahmananda, he is asking, when did you become the spiritual leader of Krishna consciousness? Prabhupada, when my Guru Maharaj ordered me. This is the Guru Parampara. It is not that like when my Guru's physical body went out of vision, when his physical body stopped breathing, I became Guru. I became Guru when my Guru Maharaj ordered me to become, you could say it like this, he gave like the general instruction, everyone become a Guru. And then when he left his body, then automatically I became qualified because, you know, it's like when the guru dies, when the acharya, his physical body dies, then I automatically become a guru. This is what they call the law of disciplic succession, but it's more like the law of the dead acharya. The only thing stopping me from being the acharya right now, the only qualification that I lack is that the physical body of my guru is still alive. That is the philosophy of kill guru, become guru. If that were the case, then placing a man on the seat of the acharya in the Gaudiya Math is completely justified. Srila, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, he never appointed anyone to be the acharya, but he ordered everyone to become an acharya. So they all became gurus, right? Srila Prabhupada, said, on my order, you become guru. So he ordered all of his disciples to become guru. So as soon as he went in, his body was placed into Samadhi in Vrindavan, the very next day, every single devotee became a guru. But then there's no authorization for their disciples to worship Srila Prabhupada as their guru. Srila Prabhupada says, when my Guru Maharaj ordered me, this is the Guru Parampara. Let's go back to his statement to the GBC, where he says, when I order, I'll close down these other tabs so we can find it very easily. When I order you become guru, he becomes regular guru. Oh, but he already gave the order. He told everyone to become guru. That means everyone's a regular guru, right? Okay, we're going to find the, here. Prabhupada says, when my Guru Maharaj ordered me, did he just, Prabhupada says, try to understand, don't go very speedily. A guru can become guru when he's ordered by his guru. That's all. Otherwise, nobody can become guru. Indian lady says something in Hindi. Prabhupada replies in Hindi and says, Shadimam Prapanam, I'm surrendered to you. Whatever you say, I shall carry out. That includes when Śrīla Prabhupāda says Ṛtvik-ācārya, and that these disciples will be my disciples and the disciples of the Ṛtvik-ācārya. Whatever you say, I shall carry it out. Yasya Devi Parabhaktir Yata Devi Tatal Guru. Just unflinching faith in the words of the spiritual master. He created it, Krishna backs it. The Indian man says to Śrīla Prabhupāda, when did he tell you to? Śrīla Prabhupāda says, what is the business? When did he tell me? And why I shall disclose to you? It is so very insignificant thing that I have to explain to you. Śrīla Prabhupāda doesn't say he told all of his disciples to become guru and then he died, so I automatically became a guru. He doesn't say that. He says, what is the business? When did he tell me? And why shall I disclose to you? It is so very insignificant thing that I have to explain to you. Indian man, no, I am just curious to know when. Prabhupada, you should be curious within your limit. You should know that one can become guru when he is ordered by his guru. This much. If we go back to this statement here, when Śrīla Prabhupāda is asked, what will happen about initiations when you are not with us? Prabhupada creates the Ṛtvik-ācārya tattva, and then he says, when I order you become guru, he becomes regular guru. And some people say, well, this is the order. So here's the question. Who is he giving this order to? He's not giving an order to anyone. He's saying, when I order you become guru, he becomes regular guru. But it applies to everyone. They're all regular guru. Then why are their disciples worshipping Śrīla Prabhupāda as guru? Hearing his śabda, his vani, every day. What is the authorization for such a practice of the hearing from the Param Guru? People say that this Ṛtvik-ācārya tattva that Prabhupada creates here is not possible because it violates the tradition. And then they fail completely to deal with the egregious violation of the tradition that it would be for disciples of gurus to worship their Param Guru as guru and to hear his śabda every day, his vani. That's not a violation of the tradition. And that's somehow normalized, authorized on what basis? Well, the answer to that is Śrīla Prabhupāda's Ṛtvik-ācārya tattva. Śrīla Prabhupāda's direct instruction. But we're going to deny Prabhupada's authorization and creation of it and then do it anyway and then have no basis for that and speculate them. The bases for the practice of disciples of Śrīla Prabhupāda's disciples worshipping Śrīla Prabhupāda as their guru in the absence of Śrīla Prabhupāda's Ṛtvik-ācārya tattva is speculative and not grounded in śabda. You're told that it's somehow like concocted out of, he's the founder of Acharya and it's a form of madness to me.
All right.
Yeah, you missed the whole big riff there, but we'll go to the next thing.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
The Guru's business.
Yeah, so Śrīla Prabhupāda is saying, he so many times preached that verse, Amara Agyaya Guru Hanya. You follow the principles of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction, first of all. So he gives the general instruction that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives over and over again, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati also, spoke that verse, vibrated that verse.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we take that as the general order to become guru, then Srila Prabhupada's critique of the Gaudiya Math falls apart. He said he did not say that anyone should become the next Acharya, but they made someone the next Acharya. And then, of course, now in ISKCON, people tell you that, well, the fault was that everyone should have become the Acharya after Srila Prabhupada. Or we should go into the Shastra and try and find what is actually a guru, and like in an ascending process, try to evaluate to see, is this person a guru, is that one? And now the GBC has a thing where you can become an ISKCON initiating guru if you've been a devotee for 10 years, you haven't fallen down for 5 years, you're ideologically conformant and no one objects to it, and then you're a guru. That there is consistent with being a Ṛtvik-ācārya, but it's not at all consistent with a regular guru. And then if you say that, well, Prabhupada said that, everyone become guru, then that's quite clear. Everyone's a guru. But then again, what is the justification for disciples of regular gurus worshipping their Param Guru daily in Guru Puja and hearing his Shabda and his Vani? That is the presence of Śrīla Prabhupāda. You cannot become a guru in his presence. You cannot initiate a disciple in a temple where Śrīla Prabhupāda is worshipped every day as the guru in Guru Puja, and his teaching is vibrated, including you yourself are doing it. Śrīla Prabhupāda didn't do that. He didn't give class out of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's books, worship Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in Guru Puja every day, have his disciples do that. No, it was not in the presence of his guru. This is Srila Prabhupada's presence. Srila Prabhupada's presence is not his physical body. This is not like a necromancy kind of,
Too much.
Huh?
That's a bit too much.
Well, a parampara of animated dead bodies.
Anyways, okay. What's the next one?
This is really interesting here in this conversation, which took place in 1977 in January. Satsvarup, there was another letter that Yogananda, an accomplice of his, wrote to another person in California saying that he should also come to Vrindavana. Nitai had found all this new secrets. Prabhupada, that will happen. Sahaja. Posing himself as a big learned man. Prabhupada, my Guru Maharaj used to say, when our men will be sahaja, he will be more dangerous.
That's true.
Even in the speaking in ISKCON, you will not hear people refer to Śrīla Prabhupada as my Guru Maharaj. They will say Śrīla Prabhupada because that's consistent with that Śrīla Prabhupada is all of our guru. He's our guru. It's not just my Guru Maharaj, it's Śrīla Prabhupada. If you were going to say it straight, you would say Śrīla Prabhupada, our guru, has said like that. Anyway, Satsvarup, our own men, Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said that when our men will be sahaja, they'll be more dangerous. So our men are becoming some of them sahajas. He's now speaking about within ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. This very word, he said that when our men will be sahaja, he'll be more dangerous. Hari Sauri, without any proper realization, on the basis of being able to read Sanskrit, they delve into all kinds of books and then they pick fault. Oh, this rule is not being followed. This is wrong. This is wrong. Satsvarup, we don't chant 64 rounds, so this is very bad. We'll never make any progress. Prabhupada, sahaja. Hari Sauri, no faith in the spiritual master. I bring this up because the argument that Śrīla Prabhupāda could not create the Ṛtvik-ācārya guru-tattva, and thus any direct reading of what he said there that results in that is evidence of one of two things: either an incorrect reading of what was created, it requires an interpretation that does not arrive at that conclusion, or, and this is the hidden claim, even if Prabhupada did say that, he was wrong. And what this is it's no faith in the spiritual master. It's like, oh no, there's this rule, the law of disciplic succession that Prabhupada has to follow. He can't create anything else. That is no faith in the spiritual master. What else have I got here? This one here, Yasya Devi Parabhaktir, Yata Devi Tata Gurau, Tasyaite Katita Hyarta Prakashante. The Vedanta philosophy will reveal automatically. You haven't got to study, but provided you have got unflinching faith in God and spiritual master, all this Vedanta knowledge will be revealed within you. It's just a lack of faith in the spiritual master to I'll go back to Kunti. To hear Kunti say, whatever you have, you share equally among you, and then to say, no, that's wrong, that can't be done, that's incorrect, and then to share the wife between the 5 of them, and to be doing exactly what she said, and then saying that it can't be done, and that she was wrong, or she didn't really say that, or she was mistaken and she didn't know, to say those things and then to do exactly what she said, it's like, it's so incoherent. It's imposing an incoherency on
Okay. Yeah. We're
on
going back
Prabhupada.
again to the same. Let's
Oh,
move.
I'll just keep going on the same thing here.
Yeah, let's keep moving.
Yeah, Madhu Devisha says they're in a car, Melbourne, cannot become a medical practitioner by simply reading the books. He must study under a medical practitioner. So in the case of your books, is it possible to become a devotee without actually having personal association with you, just by reading your books?
Mm-hmm.
Prabhupada, no, it is not that you have to associate with the author. So he's talking about like physical, personal association. But one who knows, if you cannot understand, you have to take lesson from him. Not necessarily that you have to have contact with the author always.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the textbooks are not written by the teachers, they're written by other professors. Paramahamsa, usually you don't even meet the author. Prabhupada, simply one who knows the subject matter, he can explain. Madhudvesh, but would your purports, would that serve as an explanation besides Prabhupada? No. Anyone who knows the subject matter, he will be able to explain. Not necessarily the author is required to be present there. I'll skip over all these other ones to the one that that you wanted to. There's 3 things here.
I think that's somewhere here.
It's a letter to Madhu Devisa. 75 Melbourne. Śrīla Prabhupāda says, the GBC should all be the instructor gurus. I am the initiator guru, and you should be the instructor guru by teaching what I'm teaching and doing what I'm doing. This is not a title, but you must actually come to this platform. This I want. So he's describing the Ṛtvik-ācārya, like the essential functions and structure here. And when asked about how initiations would be done in the future, he created the Ṛtvik-ācārya tattva. Śrīla Prabhupāda is the initiated guru, the instructor guru. So those 2 gurus are there. Anything in here? This one. Oh yeah, I shall live for my books. What will happen to the movement in the United States when you die? I will never die.
There you go. Quite simple.
Well, I mean, people will say, oh, he's being hyperbolic and poetic. Those are all interpretations. The direct reading of it is, Śrīla Prabhupāda has boldly declared, I will never die. And so if you take the statement, if he's the pure devotee and his speaking to Shabda Brahman, he created that he will never die. I shall live for my books and you will utilize. This is an interesting exchange here. The reporter says, are you training a successor? And Prabhupada says, yes, my Guru Maharaj is there. Where is the photo of my Guru Maharaj? I think here is. So in this one here, you could generate a theory that Prabhupada didn't understand the question and gave the wrong answer. But otherwise, Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is here. But we don't have an authorization to worship him as Guru. But he is here. Actually, I believe we may have an authorization to worship Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati from Śrīla Prabhupāda. When he was asked about the worship of the Śrīla Prabhupāda, his murti, he said, place my murti and a murti of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur together and worship the 2 of them together.
Let's find that one. Okay, keep going with that.
Last one.
You jump in like a flea. From one letter to another.
Indian man says, like your company very much in Toronto, and we feel like talk you so much, but we don't have so much time to talk with you. You have so much mercy, so we have not know so much about Krishna from you. Prabhupada, so in my absence, you read the books. What I talk, I've written in the books. That's all. Personally, we think more greater, Prabhupada. That's all right, but still, you can associate with me by reading my books. So he's saying to this gentleman here that in my absence, you read the books. What I talk, I've written in the books. You can associate with me by reading my books. He is present. His sound vibration is
present,
is within the horizon of our hearing.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
But again, like with these things here, I'm not trying to build the case by showing these things and saying, oh, I can find some selected quotes from Śrīla Prabhupāda that can build that case.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pointing out that this is all consistent with Śrīla Prabhupāda's creation of the Ṛtvik-ācārya tattva, which is authorized by his Shabda Brahman speaking here on May 28, 1977. And it also becomes the authorized basis of what we see happening in ISKCON. And without that authorized basis, what we see happening in ISKCON with disciples of Śrīla Prabhupada worshipping Śrīla Prabhupada as their guru becomes an unauthorized speculative practice with no precedent in the tradition.
Yeah.
That's it. Śrīla Prabhupada's glorious Ṛtvik-ācārya tattva.
Yeah, the beautiful thing that stays with me is like Śrīla Prabhupada is present in his books, in his work, not only, in the written books, also in action, what he accomplished in so short time for his age. He's a empowered soul, for sure, empowered spiritual master. And with this, we know, like, personally, I'm not diminishing the work or the initiative or the love of the initiating gurus.
Or the assistance to Śrīla Prabhupada.
Or the assistance of Śrīla Prabhupada.
Their assistance to Śrīla Prabhupada.
Yeah. Actually, this is like, it's honorable what they're doing for the love they feel for Śrīla Prabhupada. And I imagine it's quite tough, without his presence. We can see some of them just falling. What
makes it tough is that if you deny that he's present,
yeah,
and that you're a regular guru and you're not his Ṛtvik-ācārya, it's like that will make it very tough because now you are denying his empowerment.
Yeah. So you want empowerment, you believe in his empowerment, you believe or you trust it, you love him, yet you reject him, like you close the doors on the face. Like, I love you, but, I don't. So that it's a bit of like a contradiction to oneself. And if we're going to continue acting in that way, we are not getting the blessings to flow into our lives and expand. The power that Śrīla Prabhupada gives you is the power that you will use to expand what he came to do in this material world.
You got some more time now, or do you need to bounce? Because
we need to bounce.
You want to finish?
Yeah,
okay, because Mucha couldn't have just asked a question here.
What is that?
Well, we could address the question, or we could even invite him on.
Okay, can we address the question?
Okay, but the question's not very clear to me.
Okay, what is that?
What if it's that the analysis of that tattva culminates in just following Prabhupada somehow or other? Everyone in the ISKCON and the splinter groups follows his path in all respects. What if it's that the analysis of that tattva culminates in just, can you make a definitive assertion that we can analyze? Just say, here is what I present as my counter, or
well, I can understand his question in a way, like, okay, so what if we bypass these initiating gurus? Like,
we don't have an authorization from him for that.
No,
there's no authorization to do that.
I think even in the material point of view, I would say is kind of disrespectful for someone that you accept, that you bow down and you promise to chant 16 rounds and all of that, because he is carrying you. So yes, out of respect, we have to have respect for someone that has given their hands the mercy on us, for sure. That's my intake. But as I mentioned before, this podcast is not about undermining or diminishing the work they're doing, the presence they have. It's just that it's a specific. This is what their role is, and this is what the Śrīla Prabhupada is, who he is for us, and make it very clear.
Embrace the Ṛtvik-ācārya guru-tattva. It's glorious. It's a beautiful, powerful creation by his divine grace in his speaking. And you can say it's unprecedented. And I say that makes it even more glorious. Not only that, but it's like directly experienced by looking around at all these new initiates of Śrīla Prabhupāda performing Guru Puja to him. 48 years after his physical body was placed into Samadhi, there are people now reciting his pranam mantra, vibrating his transcendental śabda. And I think it's easier if he's available, we'll bring him on and just have a discussion quickly. No, you want to go?
You could have more, but I have to go.
You have to go?
It's hour and a half. It's a bit of a stretch.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what we should do then. You should come on
another time.
Muchakunda, yeah, and we'll do another episode on the subject.
Yeah.
Because it's a good question, yeah. Like if we can worship Bhaktisiddhanta, then anything's safe. But yeah, I'm not really.
Let's keep in this. Don't jump. I will give you an example here. So I have my son that is learning to, his goal is to learn to play the guitar, but the step is that he will learn the ukulele and then jump to the guitar. But what I see from this young man is like he wants to undermine the teacher's teaching and just somehow in his little mind think that he's going to be a rock star without following even the basics. That is so frustrating. And if I can see I can see people being in that step, I can do this and I can do that, and just diminish what the teacher says, diminish all of this, and then jump up. I think it's very disrespectful.
Yeah, can I just say something about this here?
Yeah.
Like, this is something that people bring up. They say, why don't I just take initiation from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur? It's a complete red herring straw man. It's a red herring straw man. If we go back to here, Śrīla Prabhupāda says about what will happen in the initiation in the future. He never says people will be initiated by Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta or Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So I have no idea why anyone would even bring that up. Like, what does that have to do with anything? Like, I do not find that idea anywhere in here at all. I find a specific instructions, a specific creation of a specific Ṛtvik-ācārya guru-tattva, which is directly empowered by Śrīla Prabhupāda personally. Yeah. I mean, now people are bringing the different kind of objections here.
He did not say that he was going to initiate.
I mean,
register initiation before leaving.
Give the. Yeah, so he said that he'll stop giving initiations. Yeah, and then when he was asked about what would happen, particularly at that time that you're no longer with us, he said, I'll recommend some of you to be officiating acharyas. That's called Ṛtvik-ācārya. Yes. So, yeah, when they asked him about what would happen when he's not here doing personally initiations, he created the Ṛtvik-ācārya guru-tattva. And then said, when I give you the order, you'll become a regular guru, that's all, and he becomes disciple of my disciple. So our worship of Śrīla Prabhupāda as guru is authorized because we are Ṛtvik-ācārya initiated disciples of him. Otherwise, if you deny all this and say, well, I'm going to throw all this out, I'm just going to claim that, Prabhupada stopping giving initiations in 1977 and just like somehow like takes out of existence everything that he said here, then it's like, okay, so why are you worshiping your Param Guru in Guru Puja?
Okay.
And we just back to the same point again. It's interesting to me why people can't see that. It's like, how do you justify worshiping Prabhupada, Śrīla Prabhupada as your guru without his order of the Ṛtvik-ācārya tattva? And then why would you do that when his order of the Ṛtvik-ācārya tattva is like the explanation for why that is? Yeah. Okay. You want to address this question?
No, let's come back with him.
Okay, we're going to come back with you. But when you say, does it really make a difference if I'm across this stuff or not? Like, if you have no interest in hearing from Śrīla Prabhupāda and understanding what he says, or to put it another way, sometimes people understand what they're doing and sometimes they don't. People who understand what they're doing get the result, and people who don't understand what they're doing don't get the result. So therefore, please explain to me about this ritualistic performance that you are doing. Is it based on scripture, or is it simply some social custom? That is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, chapter number escapes me right now. It's worshipping Govardhan Hill, and it's text number 6 and 7. So, you go to the temple and you do Guru Puja to Śrīla Prabhupāda. Are you doing Guru Puja to your Param Guru or to your Guru? What is it that you're doing? And then people are like, I'm doing Guru Puja to Śrīla Prabhupāda every day, but then I say, no, he's not my Guru. He's my Param Guru. It's not Guru Puja. It's honoring a great Vaishnava. It's worshipping a preeminent Shiksha Guru. And then there's this like layer of confusion that is superimposed on top of them. And it's just very clear that this is authorized directly by Śrīla Prabhupāda in his glorious Ṛtvik-ācārya guru-tattva. Hare Krishna. All glories to Śrīla A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. All glories to all of the Vaishnavas. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda's empowered Ṛtvik-ācāryas. All glories to all the disciples and grand disciples of Śrīla Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Thanks
Hare
for
Krishna.
tuning in. See you in the next one.